We are on 44A, 44A2. So the last thing we said was Ela Mazutra, if you want to send to the group that we're on. Mazutra said that Reb Shimon would make a distinction between a small lamp and a large lamp, in that the fact that if you have a small lamp, so you know it's going to go out, and maybe you have in mind to perhaps use the oil afterwards. And therefore, Shimon is lenient, say they can use the oil after it goes out. However, when it's a large lamp, large cup filled with oil, where there's enough oil to last throughout the Shabbat, so there's enough oil to last for 26 hours or whatever, 25 hours and change, you separated yourself from using it. It was separated not for use because you didn't plan on using that. So therefore, he would admit, in that case, Shimon would admit that it would be a problem of mukseh. That's what the Gemara wanted to say. The Gemara wanted to say, Elam Mazuta La'olam, Reb Shimon. Chikashar Reb Shimon, when does Reb Shimon allow you to move a lamp, an oil lamp, after the fire goes out? B'nei Zuta, the small lamp, the daiti Luve. Your mind is on it. When Shabbat entered, you had a mind to use it after it would go out. But you know it's going to go out throughout the Shabbat. However, Avalhani, but the cup, the plate, this glass cup, dinafishi, which are very large and they last throughout the Shabbat, low. Rabbi Shimon did not allow you to move them. Rabbi Shimon did not allow you to move them, even if it happened that it went out, because your mindset was clearly not to move it, because you thought it's going to remain lit throughout the Shabbat. Good morning, Nathan. We welcome Nathan back. Good to see you on the screen. Nathan, we're learning the Gemara. We're focusing on Mukseh. And we have the lenient opinion of Shimon. He's lenient in certain areas of Mukseh. And the Gemara just made a distinction between a small lamp and a large lamp for Shabbat, and large oil lamp and a small oil lamp. That Reb Shimon would allow you, if you have a small oil lamp and it goes out on Shabbat, you could use the oil, according to Reb Shimon, in that menorah, in that lamp. However, if it's a large lamp, since you don't plan on using it at all because you had enough oil to last throughout the whole Shabbat, you would not be able to take the oil to use it for your salad or whatever you want to use it after, if it happened to go out before Shabbat was over. That's what the Gemara just said. Now the Gemara says, Aval, the Gemara says, Vatanya, the Gemara challenges Mazutra's approach. Vatanya, we learned in the Braita, Mota Hashemen Shebener. The leftover oil that's in the lamp, the leftover oil that's in the lamp, and the left oil that's in the kara, that's in the plate, asur. It's forbidden. But Reb Shimon matir. Reb Shimon says it's allowed. Now, we said Reb Shimon would allow the regular nair, the regular Shabbat lamp, to use the oil. But we said in the plate, we had said that a plate, the Gemara had said that the author of the previous Braita that says oil in a plate that's left over you can't use, the Gemara said that's Rabbi Shimon, because he admits when it's a plate, a large plate, it has a lot of oil, and therefore you don't plan on using it at all throughout the Shabbat. But here it seems to say the Gemara, it mentions plate, and it says Rabbi Shimon's opinion on a plate, it's even a plate, is also the oil is able to be used after it goes out. The Gemara originally had made a distinction between a plate, a large goblet, and a plate, a large goblet, and a small regular Shabbat lamp. And now the Gemara and the Gemara said that a plate is a problem because since the plate is very large, the Gemara's understanding, and therefore you're separated from using it because it's going to be blitzed for the whole Shabbat. And here it says that a plate Rabbi Shimon would allow. The Gemara is going to say there's different types of plate. How big is the plate? Hatam, the Gemara says, karatu midaner. It's a plate that's similar to the ner. Just like the ner is something that's small, it doesn't last for Shabbat. But a plate is something that plate of that brightness something was not going to last for Shabbat. When we said Reb Shimon would forbade the plate, the leftover oil in the plate, that's talking about a large plate, similar to the kos gadolah, similar to the large goblet, which would last for the whole Shabbat. The Gemara says, Hatam karatu midaner. There it's talking about a plate that's similar to the small lamp. Hacha, here we're talking about karatu midkos. Talking about a plate similar to the big large goblet, which would last for the whole Shabbat. And the context of the brightos fit, because the brighter that says it's permitted, or Shimon permits the plate, the case is talking, it puts together the plate with a ner. The ner usually represents a small amount of oil, and therefore the plate is also talking about a similar case where it's not a large plate. But when we said that Rabbi Shimon would agree that you cannot move it, there it's talking about a plate was listed together with a kos. Kos is a larger thing, therefore the plate over there is also larger, which will not go out by the end of the Shabbat, and therefore your mind was not to use it because there was enough oil there to last throughout the Shabbat.
So that's if the oil was from
before Shabbat. Lamp. You put the oil before Shabbat in,
and lit it,
and you lit it, and then it went out. Now the question is, can I use the leftover oil on the Shabbat that went out?
Right, and if you knew it was going to go out,
if you knew it was going to go out, so Rav Shimon says that's enough to say that you're not separated from it, and therefore once it goes out, you could use that oil.
Right.
Not that we'll accept that halacha, but that's Rav Shimon's leniency.
So he's accepting that it has the tint of prohibition.
He's accepting that, even though he's accepting that. What did you say? Say it again.
That's what the hint of prohibition, like the idea that you can that because it was lit,
so when it was lit, during the duration of the time that it's lit, you can't use it. He agrees that time.
But he's saying because it was lit at Bein Hashmashot, therefore you can't use it when it goes out unless it's the small one.
Exactly. Okay. Nathan was in the group, and now he was out. Then I get it back in. Okay. So now the Gemara continues. Amar Rav Zera, the brighter that we just brought now, we discussed an argument of Yehuda Rameya. If we could move a old lamp, that was a discussion. We're now, by the way, on the article 44A3. Can you move an old lamp made out of earthenware? Right? We said earthenware, the type of material of earthenware is the way that the oil gets absorbed in the lamp, in that menorah, that whatever that you're using for Shabbat, the candelabra. It makes the lamp very, we'll call it disgusting type of thing. It's not pleasant anymore. It's not a pleasant, clean type of utensil like the metal. The earthenware utensil that's used for fire is a little repulsive, if that's the right word. And people generally won't use it for other things because it's mius. So here, the Gemara, the Breita brought earlier a dispute from Yehuda Rameya. Are you allowed to move an old candelabra made from earthenware? It was once used for fire, for lighting, and Now it's Shabbat. It wasn't lit this Shabbat. It was lit last Shabbat. But now the question is, do we say that this is mukse? This item is mukse. It is separated from me because it's only used for lighting purposes. I wouldn't use it for putting candies in the hole in this lamp because the lamp is not is repulsive. Do we say that will make it mukse? The lamp will be mukse. Now, even though I didn't use it this Shabbat, I used it last Shabbat, I would not be able to move it. It has a status of mukse. Or do we say that that's not that will not make it mukse? So
This is the case with Kavana that it's going to be burning at all.
right, no kavana, no, it's not. Was not going to be burning this Shabbat. What's the status? See, we would say la halacha. We would say this if this is used, if this is a utensil that's used for prohibited purposes, it's used for burning, it's mukseh. That we would say that item is mukseh, but I would be able to move it if I need its place. It's called a kli, a utensil that's job is standing to for forbidden purposes for burning. Therefore, we'd say if you need the place where it is located, you can move it for its place.
Right.
You could move it if you need to use it itself. If you want to use, let's say, bufo, if you want to put candies in it, in a regular, let's say it's not, say we would say that a menorah, a Shabbat lamp, if you want to use it for itself in a permitted fashion, put candies in it, that's how we would look at a.
That's only if there is a potential permitted batch, where it's here, like in their case where it's disgusting.
Right.
There is no.
Right. That's very good. That's how we would look at a regular Shabbat. But now Adam is pointing out, but this Shabbat, this thing we're talking about is repulsive. So it doesn't have the fact that it's repulsive, it doesn't have other
It's a higher level.
minor high level muksa. It doesn't have uses that what use would I permitted use that I would have, right? So therefore it should be not be able to be permitted to be moved for its place or for its because it's a higher level muksa. Correct. That should be um, that should be if we hold that the repulsive would make it muksa. Right, we had before in the Mishnah. Right, right. So like Adam said, in the Mishnah where we had that law of a old lamp, the Mishnah Tanakama says you can't move that old lamp. So and it's a Pnei Yeshua calls it muksa gamur, complete muksa, which I think, like you said, would mean that there's no use for it. It wouldn't be able to be moved for its place or even for its place and or for using it itself. So that is the opinion. The Yehuda holds that this thing is a high level mukseh, this lamp that's made out of earthenware. Rameya disagrees with that. Rameya does not hold that would make it mukseh. He says you could move such an earthenware utensil that was used last week. Rameya just says if it was used that Shabbat, if you actually used it that Shabbat, even though it went out, then you can't use it. What would be the reason, Rameya? Because when you used it that Shabbat, it was burning. Bein Hashmashot was burning when Shabbat was on. So once it's burnt, once it was mukseh when the beginning of Shabbat came, so remains mukseh for the whole Shabbat. Right? he holds of that. He holds that would apply for the whole Shabbat. Now, Rabbi Shimon. So now, with that being said, the Gemara is going to um, discuss. What about if you have a metal, not earthenware, right? We said the earthenware. Rabbi Yehuda has a problem with earthenware utensil because his problem is that it's disgusting, repulsive, and that makes it muktzeh. Rameh does not have that problem. Rameh has a problem that if it's lit on the Shabbat, because when it's lit on Shabbat, what's the problem? Problem is you might come take out the fire. Right. Therefore, it's called muksa machmat isur. You might come to do a sin, and
it's actually lit. It's still lit.
But once the fire goes out, if you hold, it maintains the status, and he holds, it maintains the status.
That's the
second
the prohibition.
Okay, and it remains the status. That's the opinion of Rabbi Meir. So now the Gemara is going to say the following: what about? So the Gemara says, "What if Amar Rav Zeh? Listen to this situation. Pomot shedliko bo b'Shabbat, a metal lamp that you lit that was burning on that Shabbat. L'divrei hamatir, the opinion of Rav Meir. Rav Meir says that you can move an old lamp. Rav Meir allowed you to move an old lamp, but you couldn't move a lamp that was lit on the Shabbat, right? So this lamp, since it was lit on Shabbat, Rav Meir would say you asur. You can't move this lamp after it goes out, because just like he said you can't move a lamp that was burned on that was lit on Shabbat, an earthenware utensil that was burning that Shabbat. So and what's the problem? Because maybe his concern is maybe because you might do a sin by extinguishing, and once it's mukseh from Shabbat enters, it's mukseh from Shabbat. So that's the same thing with this metal. It's not made out of earthenware, made out of metal. It doesn't change anything. But the divrei oseh. But according to the opinion that says Rabbi Yehuda's whole concern, this is what the Gemara is thinking at this point. Yeah. The Gemara is thinking that Rabbi Yehuda's whole concern was the fact that it was muksah because it was disgusting. That's what he said makes the thing mukseh. He doesn't talk about the fact that something was lit on the Shabbat. So he says you can't move an old earthenware lamp. Now this lamp, which is metal, which is not disgusting, not repulsive, so the Gemara is suggesting he would hold, the Rabbi Yehuda would hold, you could actually move it after it goes out. The divrei oseh muta, you would be able to move this metal pomot that went out, the fire went out on the Shabbat. And the Gemara is going to challenge this. The Gemara is going to say, L'meimra, you're going to tell me like this, something that's mukseh, it's worse, something being repulsive, than something that maybe you might come to do a sin with. Because you're telling me that the metal lamp, once it goes out, you're telling me it's not gonna consider that mukseh, right? You're telling me that the metal lamp is gonna allow you to use that metal lamp, even though good morning, Nathan. let's take a look. So the Gemara is suggesting that Rabbi Yehuda is only concerned about muksa, about something that's repulsive. He's not concerned the fact that you couldn't move it bein hashmashot because maybe you might do a sin. He's not concerned about that muksa, because I presume it means he wouldn't be concerned about that muksa once it goes out. Right? He wouldn't be concerned that once that goes out, the Gemara wants to suggest that he would allow you to move that lamp, and he's only concerned about, good morning, Ezra. He's only concerned about the lamp that when Shabbat came, if it was repulsive to you, he's going to be more concerned about something separated from you because of repulsiveness than separated for you because of a sin that you might come to move it. So to that, the Gemara, right? That's what the Gemara is discussing right now. You see, so the Gemara shoots back. The Meimed Rabbi Yehuda Muksa Machmas Mios Islay. Are you going to tell me Rabbi Yehuda holds that something that's muksa as a result of sin is not a problem? It's not. He's not going to consider that a real muksa, and maybe, and then for when the fire goes out, I can move it. Vatanya, I don't think the Gemara was entertaining that he would have, he doesn't hold a muksa as a result of a sin. I don't think the Gemara is entertaining that he would allow you to actually move it while it was on. That far, I don't think the Gemara would agree, but he would hold that maybe you can't move it when it's on, but we're not going to give it a status of muksa, that therefore, now that when it goes out, you can't move it. You just can't move it when it's on. Maybe it's called, you can't do it because maybe you'll be doing a sin. But it's not the category of muksa. Maybe it's not called that you're separated from it in a way that would fall under the laws of muksa. That's what it seems like the Gemara is saying. And therefore, if he doesn't hold it falls under the category of muksa, so then after it goes out, he would allow you to move it. If it's under the category of muksa, so let's say once it was forbidden to move when Shabbat came, it should be forbidden to move when Shabbat throughout the Shabbat. If he's going to agree with that principle, muksa from the time Shabbat enters, muksa for the whole Shabbat. So, but he's not holding, it's not the status of muksa. He doesn't hold, or either he holds that, or he holds that it's not once it will not be muksa for the whole Shabbat, even if you say it has the status of muksa when Shabbat came. So the Gemara challenged that. Vatan, you have a bright of Yudah Omer. Yudah says, Kol haneirot shel matechet metaltalin. All lamps made out of metal, you used last Shabbat, you used it. It's not muksa for the Shabbat, according to this opinion, because it's not disgusting to you. It's not repulsive to you, because it's made out of metal. The oil doesn't absorb in the walls of the lamp like in an earthenware utensil. So he says you're allowed to go ahead and move any lamp made out of metal, as long as provided that you did not use that lamp for this Shabbat. Except for a lamp that was used this Shabbat. But if it was used this Shabbat, I can't move it. Even when it goes out. So we see he holds of mukseh machmat isur, as a result of a sin being done with it. He holds it would be considered mukseh. So the Gemara says, Ela'it mahachitmat. Ezra, we are on 44. 3,
Thank you.
on the right side, right, Eli Yitma Hachi Yitma, second column. Pomod, by the way, I had someone yesterday that said to me, Rabbi Friedman, that means he was saying, we were talking about the tweezers yesterday, removing the wicks, so he said, I can't, the tweezer, that it comes with the menorah kit, like a little plastic something. Rabbi, I can't, after the fire goes out, I can't use the tweezer to move the wicks. I said, of course not. Those wicks you're separated from, even if the fire goes out, you can't handle them. You can't move the wicks. I don't know why would you be moving? The wicks are designated for use, for prohibited use on Shabbat. They were burning there, even if you would not have burnt the wick on Shabbat. The wick is mukseh. What's the purpose of a wick? A wick is used for what purpose? Light. So a wick is mukseh. But he didn't know that you can't move a wick after the fire goes out on Shabbat of a menorah. I mean, which is interesting to me that some people don't know. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what people think is mukseh, what people don't think is mukseh. So the Gemara says, now on the, again, 4483, top right, Eli Yitma Hachi Yitma, Amar Rav Zera Pamot Shadliko Lov B'Shabbat. If you have a pamot, a metal, we're saying the pamot is the metal, you got it?
Yes.
The pamot that was burning on Shabbat, that means you lit it before Shabbat, and now this metal lamp was burning on Shabbat, and then it went out. But when Shabbat entered, it was mukseh, because it was mukseh because you might do a sin, might extinguish the fire. It remains mukseh throughout the Shabbat. Now, meaning it remains mukseh in that high level mukseh. Meaning, what are we going to hold? We're going to make a distinction. Let's say you have a menorah, right, or a metal candelabra, right? If you have that, that's mukseh. It's in the break front, right? You can't just move it just like this. It has a status of mukseh, but there's certain ways if you need the place, or you need to use it for permitted use, but it has a status of mukseh. But it's one level of mukseh. But this is going to be a higher level of mukseh, because this mukseh is because you might be doing a sin by moving it, right? If you move a candle, a menorah on Shabbat that was used for Hanukkah, the Hanukkah menorah now this Shabbat, if someone would move a Hanukkah menorah, the movement is not doing a sin when you move it. Not of concern you might do a sin, but the reason why I can't move it is because it is separated from me from use, because my mind, because it's designated for a forbidden use. But not that I'm going to do not that my movement is making is concerned I can't move it because I'm going to do a sin by moving it. It's not on. It's a menorah from 3 months ago, 4 months ago. But then there's a different type of item that if I move it, the movement actually could do a sin, right? That's called mukseh machmat isur. That a sin might be happening as a result of me moving it. You understand what I'm saying? And that is going to be a higher level mukseh than just a menorah that was there from Hanukkah. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's see what he says over here.
Because if you're moving something that was lit on this Shabbat, you could come to move one that is literally lit.
I would say, Adam, because if it was lit on this Shabbat, so during the time period that it was lit, that time it had a very high level muktzah.
Yeah.
Because when it's lit, you can't move it for its place when it's lit.
Right.
Because you might extinguish it. That level of muktzah remains throughout the Shabbat. So even when it doesn't, even when it goes out and it does no longer has that concern, it retains its status, right? Whatever status it had, Ben Hashmashot, has the status, it continues that status.
But what's the reason for getting to that ruling from where Rav Shimon was at the beginning of the Mishnah, where it said only if it's lit. Like what is it meant to protect against?
Which case? What's the case?
The case where you can't move it even after it's been extinguished. What's it meant to protect against?
Right. So the idea there is more, there's a new law that's kicking in that once it was separated from me when the Shabbat entered, it's separated from me the whole Shabbat.
Okay. So the purpose of that rule is really goes back to the idea of not moving it when it is lit.
Right.
It's a wall around that rule. So
right.
Not only.
Maybe right. Or you might say that the fact that I was separated from it in that level when Shabbat entered, so that, even though you're saying now that reason is not here because I'm not going to extinguish it because the fire went out,
right.
but they gave the status that once it was separated from me when Shabbat came, that status remains. Now, that is it's a good question. Is why did they do that? Why did they leave that status? I mean, the fact that you separated from it. The point is when Shabbat came, I was this level of separation from it. So now I was separated from it because of the sin. So now you see, Rav Shimon says, "Hey, when the fire goes out, use it."
Right.
But we hold no. We say that once you separate from it when Shabbat came, that retains this item has a status of mukser. Now, is it because, like you said, maybe we're afraid if you're going to remove the status when it goes out, maybe they will actually be lenient even when the fire didn't go out? It's a good question. Why did the rabbis place this level of status on it throughout the Shabbat, even though the reason why I was separated is no longer that level than here?
Yeah, but what you're saying was kind of a second reason, which is less practical. It's more like just about the status.
Right.
It's hard to, I don't know how to explain, but it's different than just purely a wall. It's like something about the Kedusha of Shabbat. There's something about this item.
There was a status of muktzah on the item, and that remains now. The question, like you're asking, very good. Why should the rabbis keep that status? That high level status. Maybe you could say, I'm separated from it. Maybe it should go to a lower level muktzah of like a utensil that's used for a forbidden activity, but not that I might do a sin with it. That level of that by moving it, a sin will happen. Let's see if they say something over here. Yeah. You see, you have utensils that are generally able to be moved, that are generally usable, but you can't use it when Shabbat comes because a sin might happen, whether rabbinic sin or biblical sin. Morning. Look, you too. You too. Chag Sameach to you and the family. Okay. You too. Thank you. And let's say he says a Shabbat lamp, that when Shabbat entered, it was burning. Everybody agrees. You can't move this lamp while it's burning. It might extinguish it. But Rabbi Yehuda holds that since you might be doing a sin by moving that lamp, it retains that status the whole Shabbat. Right, that's exactly what we said. Now, let's see. Okay. So let's continue. Now, so the Gemara says, Eli itma hachi itma. This is how you have to read it. Amar Rav Zera. Rav Zera says, Pomod shedliko lo b'Shabbat. If you have a lamp, a Shabbos metal oil wick lamp that was lit on this particular Shabbat, the Divrei Hakol, both Rabbi Yehuda and Rav Meir. Rabbi Yehuda, who holds of something is mukseh because of being repulsive, he also would agree that this would also be, if it's because of a concern that a sin will be done, he also would agree to that. Everybody would hold asur. Everybody would hold a Shabbat metal lamp that was lit on this particular Shabbat. Now it was lit Friday night, and now with Shabbat morning, it will retain its level of mukseh, asur. The im loid liku love, if it was not lit for the Shabbat, you have a metal lamp, right? Hey, you have a metal lamp, and it was used last Shabbat. It's nice and clean. One Abraham, it's nice and clean. So the question is, will that item be mukseh? It's not mukseh because of repulsive, because it's metal, it's clean. So, but the fact is, it's used for burning purposes. But I'm not using it this Shabbat for burning purposes. Last Shabbat I use it for this Shabbat. Or Shabbat came in the middle of Shabbat. I want to use it to put the store candy. I want to move it because the sun is shining on it. Does it have a status of mukseh? So there, the Gemara wants to say, if you didn't light it, l'divrei hakol mutar. Everybody would hold it's mutar. There wouldn't be a machloket. Both Rabbi Yehuda and Rav Meir would hold. In this case, there's no concern of, meaning there was a rabbi that says, Rabbi Yehuda's reasoning that you can't move an old one was only because of repulsiveness. This is not repulsive, so you should be able to move it. Rav Meir wasn't concerned. Rav Meir said you can move all candelabras unless you use it that Shabbat. So this one wasn't used this Shabbat. It wasn't lit on Shabbat. So therefore, it's not repulsive, and therefore everybody would agree you can move this on Shabbat. It's not mukseh. We disagree with this idea, right? We hold that it is mukseh. Even if you didn't light it this Shabbat, it's mukseh. Now, we have over here, morning, we have just this, there is a big machlok, they have a summary over here of the different opinions. Rabbi Yehuda holds there's something called mukseh as a result of sin. You might do a sin by moving it. Let's say that the menorah, you have Shabbat candles on, and to move the table with the Shabbat candles on, or the oil menorah on, by moving it, the fire might go out while it's on. Boker Tov. That's a problem. That's called maybe a sin will be done. And he also holds you can't move something if it's repulsive because of its repulsiveness. When Meir holds, he only holds about you can't move something because of sin, but he doesn't hold of the concern of repulsiveness. Rabbi Shimon holds only when the fire is on is there a problem to move that item. The fire goes out, he says there's no problem. That's Rabbi Shimon's leniency. According to Rabbi Shimon, when the fire goes out on Shabbat, you can go ahead and move the menorah, the lamp. Rabbi Eliezer Reb Shimon, he holds that you can even use the oil while it's lit, as long as the fire started getting lower, and removing the oil won't diminish the fire. So the thing that needs to be looked at after learning this Gemara is, we saying a regular Shabbat menorah, a regular Shabbat candelabra is muksa. We hold it is muksa. Even though you didn't use it this Shabbat, you used it last Shabbat, right? It's muksa. It's like any other utensil that's standing for forbidden use, like a hammer. It falls under that category. But the way the Gemara is presenting the rabbis here, it would seem, you see, the rabbis over here are saying it's saying something that was used last Shabbat and it's not repulsive. We're saying it's not muksa. But how does that fit in with the general category that we're talking about, that we say it is the status of muksa? Right? The Gemara has four the Gemara is saying Rabbi Yehuda, Rameya, they're saying a pomot. You have this metal lamp. If it was used for Shabbat, you can't use it. But how do we know that what's used for the prior Shabbat, you can't use it for this Shabbat? We're saying,
they're saying it's used for the prior Shabbat, but not this Shabbat.
They're saying you could use it.
Right, that makes sense though.
Yeah, so what does it mean they could use it?
They can move it.
They can move it.
Yeah.
But move it for a permitted purpose.
Right.
Move it, but they're not, meaning we're not saying that the thing does not have the status of mukseh at all. We're just saying it doesn't have this status of mukseh that the Gemara is referring to. Right, maybe that's how you can learn it. The Gemara doesn't have a high status of mukseh. Like you said before, that I can't move it for its place. I can't move it for a permitted purpose. That's it. So according to this Gemara, a menorah, Shabbat lamp that was used last week and not this week, if it's not repulsive, then it's you can move it for any permitted purpose, any or for its place. But it still should have some status of muktzah, that I will not be able to move it because I want to get it out of the sun.
There's like levels there. So the lowest level would be non-earthenware, not used on this Shabbat.
Right, and then I can move it if I need the place and I need it for pretty.
But used on
this Shabbat, right?
The highest level would be, or another level would be earthenware, but not used on this Shabbat.
Which would be a question whether we hold repulsive would be a problem or not.
Right, and then the highest would be earthenware and used on this Shabbat.
Very good.
And then different people have different limits.
Right, and whether there's a difference between while it's on and while it's off. Right.
Some people don't recognize.
The fact that right, they don't say the fact that it's forbidden when Shabbat came, it's forbidden for Shabbat.
Right.
Beautiful. There's a lot going on. So then when you look at the Shabbat candle, Shabbat thing, now you're gonna have a different appreciation. You have Shabbat menorah, and the menorah and Hanukkah's burning. I can't move. That's the menorah, that oil and this. But even our Shabbat candles, it's the same. They have an appreciation of that.
Right, but we learned it earlier. The Hanukkah candle was supposed to go by the window. Where are the Shabbat candles supposed to go?
Use Shabbat candles on the table if possible, where you're eating. Right. Or near the table, so it's elegant. It gives the honor for the. But let's say if a guy doesn't have a window in his house for Hanukkah, let's say in the dining room, or let's say he doesn't have a window, so sometimes they would put on the table the menorah for Hanukkah.
Oh, even that. So the window is only if you can see it from the table.
No, the window is so you could see it from the window. People could see. You could see it. I'm saying, and the people outside could see it.
Right.
But let's say you have a window facing not the river.
Oh,
so there's no river, there's no window to put it. You put it on the table.
So it would go near the door.
Or near the door, right? We have to look at. Right, so we have to see exactly how the setup with near the door. So what they do in Israel, they put, one, they have the out right outside by the door. But in America, they would put it. We'd have to look at exactly where would you put it. Have a great day, everybody. Yes, yes, better. But then we have to just be careful. If you have it on the table, you have to be careful with the muksa issues. You know what I'm saying? Because if you want to clean up the table, there's a high level muksa. Right, because it'll be tomorrow. Yes, it's right. You see that what you're saying? Shabbat. If I want, I can't move it off the table after it goes out. The Shabbat candles. It's a higher level muksa.
Yeah.
You got it? It's not like the hammer. Take
There's
it, you
gonna be
too.
a lot of motivation.
I wouldn't be able to move that. Have a great day. We went really overtime. Jack, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, you too. You too, Chas you too.
So there's a light.
Jack's